Hello. So this time I wanted to talk about conspiracies or conspiracy theories and share my personal hypothesis on why I think conspiracy theories develop, or better yet, how you could save yourself, protect yourself from believing in a dangerous conspiracy theory. So it's my conspiracy theory about conspiracy theories. And it's not really a conspiracy theory. Okay, good. So first of all, why do I want to talk about this topic? The main reason is because not so long ago, I had a little moment when I almost started believing in a conspiracy theory that was pretty dangerous. And I think it would be very harmful for me if I continue going down that path of paranoia and all kinds of dark thoughts. So I'll share a little bit about what happened. I'll probably keep things vague. I don't know. But what happened is that I met a person. I started talking to him, and I was immediately very interested in him. I thought that we kind of shared a similar mindset, and I liked that I could talk to him about anything. He was a very open-minded person. He was doing a lot of the things that maybe I would want to see myself doing. He was an actor, he was a doctor, and all kinds of things. So I was very intrigued and impressed. And I'm going to skip the details of what happened, but our friendship didn't really work out. Mainly because of, let's say because of the mismatch of intentions for our relationship, or the level of closeness that we were seeking from the relationship. However, while talking to him, probably not coincidentally, I started having new experiences of spiritual nature. And granted, I should say that wasn't the very beginning of when that started happening to me. But to that extent, that never happened before. I started having visions, which is something that I've never experienced up until that point, or since. And I don't have any psychiatric disorders, in case people like to ask that sometimes. I wasn't taking any substances. It was fully natural. And the visions that I was seeing, I felt a very strong connection to them, as though it was the things that already happened to me or will happen to me in the future. They felt very real, very true. They didn't feel like dreams. And I will even say that some of them have come to pass after I had those visions. So that's all I'm going to say. You feel free to choose how you feel about that. But that is what happened. And I was fully conscious at that time. I was in full control. I was reflecting on what was happening. I was trying to make sense of what was happening. And this is when things started going south, because some of the visions that I had, they included this person. So I thought that all of this was connected to this person that I've met. And thinking about all of the possibilities to explain everything, of course, one of the options is that this person was somehow responsible for my alternate state of consciousness. He somehow triggered or invoked those things, perhaps intentionally. That was one of the things that I was thinking of. And of course, it was a very dangerous idea and a very scary idea of not having control of your mind and someone else having control of your mind. And with what intention? You can go down that rabbit hole and it can get darker and darker, if you will. So eventually I did realize that. I'll share one more thing that I feel semi-comfortable sharing. When I was going down that rabbit hole, there were more and more thoughts that I would have, like, for example, why would that happen? Why would he do that? Maybe his intention was that. Why would that be his intention? And then, like a snowball effect. So when that was happening, the experiences that I was having would get more intense. And as I found out, the moment I was out of that rabbit hole, the moment I said that this person didn't have my mind in his possession, it was not his intention, it wasn't something that he was conscious of, the moment when I accepted that, all of that stopped. So I will share what allowed me to get out of that darkness. It was something that I was definitely due for, and that is faith, coming to faith. So the spiritual experiences that I mentioned that were happening prior to meeting this person, that's what it was all about. It was me coming to an awareness that I need faith and that it is an option for me, that it is open to me. Well, that is a very sensitive thing, so probably won't say too much about that. But yes, it was faith. After 10 years of not believing, 10 years of being an agnostic, I became a believer. So it truly helped, because at that point, when I was, in that weird state of mind, I realized that what is happening to me is unordinary. What is happening to me cannot be explained with a rational mind or logic. What is happening to me is a spiritual experience, unless it is some extraordinary human evil. And that's when we get into the conspiracy theory thing, when we think that somehow someone was able to use technology to hack our mind. As it turns out, this is not very uncommon for people to have this exact idea, this exact fear that someone is controlling their mind using some kind of high-tech technology. So I'm sure that there are many explanations for that. I'm gonna say being in that state of mind once, it is extremely terrifying. It's extremely dispowering. It's a very, very dark place to be. So anyone in that state of mind, you wanna be as sensitive and empathetic as you can be, understanding that their perception of reality is very, very different from yours right now. And there might be good reasons for that. This is very important, that the reasons for that might not be what you think it is. It might be something that the person themselves can easily manage unless they get misled by someone. So you want to be very careful with providing your own personal interpretations of what is happening. Be very, very careful, because you might not know what is happening. And I am proof of the fact that someone can be in this alternate state of consciousness induced by paranoia and fear and come out of it with faith in God. Like I said, the experiences that I've been having, the dark unpleasant visions, all of them disappeared. It's been almost 2 years without anything like that happening ever again. In fact, I would say I have more self-control, more self-awareness than I ever did before. So what are the conclusions? What did I realize through this experience? So when it comes to conspiracy theories, I realized that they are, as far as I can tell, are all rooted in fear, and fear of not having control, and fear of someone else having control over you, someone else having power over you in one form or another. And they all share one thing in common, and that is they all give one explanation to an extraordinary finding or incident that we can't understand. They all explain it by saying that this is human evil, that this is the result of human evil, this is the result of some evil intention, there is a conspiracy. So the interesting thing about that is the more unusual we seem to find something, like for example, take the pyramids in Egypt, the more we are impressed by this work, the more evil we will assign to it. So if it took a lot of effort, if it was something extraordinary, that means that it was an extraordinary evil involved in it. And the reason why we didn't know about that is because, again, extraordinary evil, someone is hiding something from us, and blah, blah, blah. So you would think that when it gets to the point when we really cannot rationalize something, we really cannot understand something with our mind, with our logic, it's beyond our ability to comprehend, you would think at that point we will say, well, maybe it's God. But no, people say it's definitely evil. It's extraordinary evil. So we are more willing to believe in extraordinary evil than we are willing to believe in extraordinary good. And I am not an exception. I was not an exception until I am. Now, I believe in extraordinary good. But I did at some point think, I did mention, but I did think about demonic possession. And I was an agnostic, right? So I started thinking about demonic possession before I started thinking about God, just so you understand. It's not good, of course, but I think that it's not uncommon for people to be more willing to believe in some human, superhuman power, but not God. Like, if you came to the point when you're willing to believe in some power that cannot be explained by science or understood by a human mind, if you came to that point, hello, Crow, if you came to that point, then wouldn't you? Well, you know what I'm trying to say. This is not an attempt at conversion, but simple logic, man. Like, don't lose your mind. Like, don't lose your mind. Well, because if you believe in God, then it is so simple to just see something unusual, something extraordinary, unexplainable, and say, oh, well, if God exists and he can do anything. So he decided to do this crazy thing because it's not crazy to him, because he can do anything. Like, it's so easy to accept something that you cannot understand without fear, because he is good God. He's a good God. He won't. Like, why would he mess with you? He won't mess with you. So it's much easier to deal with any emotionally challenging situations. And that is true. So yeah, this is my theory, that all conspiracy theories happen when we face something that we cannot understand. We understand that this is something that shouldn't be possible, considering everything that we know about this life, physics, chemistry, mathematics, what have you. Like, what we know so far about the possible and impossible of this world tells us that this shouldn't be possible. So we face something like that, and we aim to explain it by blaming the evil forces instead of believing in the good forces. So we already believe in extraordinary forces, but we choose to believe in evil forces. And one thing I have to say about that is, if it hurts you, if it doesn't benefit you, then maybe you didn't make the right choice. Like, if you believed in evil and somehow that benefited you, maybe I would understand. I wouldn't support it, but maybe I would be able to rationally understand. But if it hurts you, then I suggest turning to a light side and believing in good forces. That helped me. Maybe it will help someone else. I don't know. And again, I made too long of a video. I wanted to keep it short, but that's okay. Thank you for listening to me today, and keep believing in a good God.